Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. So today we shall be learning how to make a ruched bubu gown, and this is the fabric I'll be using. You also be needing an elastic for the center front. So here I have folded my fabric into four. First you fold into two and then you fold over again, making it into four folds. So I've also gone ahead and marked a line which will serve as my starting line. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark my neck width. So I actually wanted 3 inches neck width, but I'll be marking 2.5 inches neck width. So I'll use the remaining half for joining allowance. Then I'm going to mark 1 inch for my neck depth for the back. I'll use half an inch to turn the neckline, making it 1.5 inch neck depth in total for the back. So after connecting this, I'm going to mark 6.5 inch neck depth for the front. Remember, our fabric is folded into four, so we are cutting both front and back together. So now I actually wanted 7 inches neck depth for the front, but I'll be marking 6.5. I'll use the other half to turn the neckline, and then I'll have a total of 7 inches neck depth for the front. If you want it deeper, like more revealing, you can go ahead and use 8 inches, 9 inches. It depends on your preference. So on the side seam, I am going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder loop, and then I'm going to connect it to the 2 inches neck width. So I know my chalk is not visible. I tried using several chalks, but it wasn't visible. So I'll still be demonstrating using a paper to illustrate for us. So after marking the shoulder slope, I'm going to go up by half an inch for my joining allowance. So that half an inch is to join the shoulders together, so the seam allowance is to join the shoulders together. So after doing that, so here is where I'll be illustrating what I actually did. So the fabric I'm using is by 60 inches in length, and the yardage is 2 yards. So if you want more volume, maybe you want a longer sleeve length, you can go ahead and make use of 3 yards, but here I have 2 yards of fabric here. So firstly, I'm going to fold on the 2 yards line. You are going to fold into 2 like I have done, and then you are going to fold over again. So this was exactly how I folded my fabric. I hope this explanation is clear. So the first thing you are going to do is to mark your neck width, which is 2.5 inches, and then the neck depth for the back 1 inch, and then you connect. So after that, you mark your 6.5 inch neck depth for the front. You go by the side, you come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope. Don't forget to add half an inch around the shoulder slope for your joining allowance to join the front and back together at the shoulder, and then we are going to cut out. So this is exactly what I did on my fabric. So because my chalk wasn't visible, I had to demonstrate again for a better understanding. So on the part that has the fold by the side, we are going to cut it open so we can remove the back before cutting the neck depth of the front piece. So after removing the back, I'm going to cut out the neckline for the front, and this is what we have. So this is what you are going to have by the time you are done cutting yours. So I'm going to cut this same thing exactly on my fabric. Thank you so much guys for stopping by on my channel. Thank you for all the likes, thank you for the shares, thank you for the views. I so much appreciate you guys, and please do not forget to subscribe if this is your first time of coming to my channel. Do not forget to subscribe. Thank you. You start cutting your fabric, do well to secure your fabric with pins. So especially if you are working with lightweight fabrics like I'm doing, so ensure to secure with pins. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut open the side so we can separate the back from the front before cutting the neckline for the front. So here I'm cutting the neckline for my front piece. After cutting that, this is what I have. This is the front, can you see? And here is the back. So now the first thing we are going to do for our joining is to hem the neckline. So you can cut a facing or you can use a bias to finish up the neckline for the front and back. If you don't want to use any of that, you can also fold in like so. Just fold in like half an inch, quarter of an inch, fold over again, and then you sew. But for me, I am going to use facing. Here I am done sewing, that is finishing up the neckline for the front. Can you see the way it is? I also went ahead and ironed the center piece. I folded the front into 2 equal halves and ironed it out. You still see the need for the ironing, so also repeat that on yours as well. And this is the back piece. I've also finished up the neckline for the back. Can you see? So you can use a bias, you can use a facing, you can just fold it in and sew. Which method you find easy, please make use of that. So on the shoulder, I am going to mark my half length, which is 16 and a half. But remember, on the shoulder I have half an inch joining allowance. I'm going to add that to my half length. That will make it 17 inches. So here I'm marking 17. On the center front, we are going to divide our waist by 4. So for me, I have 8 inches, and then I'm going to mark like so. Here I have my belt. I have sewn it. This belt is 20 inches in length. You can make yours 15 if you want. And then I'm going to sew it on one side. I'm also going to flip to the other side and repeat the same thing I did for the other side too, which is marking 17 inches. On that 17 inches line, I'm going to mark my waist measurement divided by 4, and then I'm going to sew my belt there. So this is it after sewing. So this belt is what gives it that shape we have at the front. I am going to cut out my elastic. So this elastic is 32 inches in length, but I didn't exhaust it. Remember, we are going to pull while sewing, so I didn't exhaust it. So I will advise you just get an elastic while you are sewing, pull, stretch it. So this is the essence of ironing the center piece, so you'll get a perfect straight line for the front. So I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, and then I'll sew on the elastic, on top of the elastic, following the crease line, which indicates that's the center piece, half of the front. Do we understand? So while you are sewing, you stretch your elastic, stretch it, drag it, pull it very well, so it will give that ruched effect. So after sewing, this is what I have. Can you see it's coming together? On the wrong side, which is the inside, this is what it looks like. So can you see the ruched effect it's giving? At the hem, I left 1 inch at the hem to use and finish up the hem of the dress after joining the back together. So the next thing we are going to do is to join the shoulders. So we are going to bring in the back, and we are going to join the shoulders together. Join the shoulders according to the seam allowance that you left. So for me, I left half an inch seam allowance while cutting the dress. So I'm going to use that half an inch to join the shoulders together. So the next thing we are going to do after joining the shoulders together is from that seam line, from the seam line on the shoulder, we are going to mark 9 inches for our sleeve opening. So 9 inches is quite okay, or at most 10 inches. So when you mark this 9 inches, you can notch it, just a little bit of notch, or just use your chalk to mark on both sides. So because we need to hem the sleeve opening, so what you are going to do is to fold in quarter of an inch and fold in another quarter of an inch. So you are going to fold it that way to the back, and you top stitch on it, and you are going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the sleeve as well. Here is what it looks like after sewing the sleeve opening. Can you see what it looks like on both sides? So the next thing we are going to do is to join the sides together and we are going to sew it down. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'll come back and show us what it looks like. After sewing the side, I am also going to fold in my seam allowance at the hem. The final look after sewing. Can you see how beautiful it's looking? It's so fine. So please do well to subscribe, like, share and comment. See you in my next one. Bye.